Come here. Michael Morales is still improving. You just don't know what you're watching yet. In all seriousness, though, he looked great against Gilbert Burns, but what does that mean? That means nothing. I mean, Gilbert Burns is beyond washed, and everybody wants to, oh, he's the next great contender. I get welterweight is exciting now, but we didn't learn anything about Michael Morales last weekend. We just didn't. Not a single thing we learned. I mean, what, he's got power? Like, we already knew he could knock people out, but, like, he's got areas where it's like, what's his cardio like? What happens when he's on the ground? What happens if, oh, I don't know, someone's too slick and he can't hit them? We learned nothing about Michael Morales. Drives me up a wall, guys. Everybody's like, oh, look how he destroyed, how great Gilbert Burns is, and he destroyed Gilbert Burns. Like, yeah, but do you know what this Gilbert Burns is? He's washed. He's beyond washed. Now, I don't want to take away from what Michael Morales did. Knocking out an opponent like that is magnificent, incredible. That said, we shouldn't put too much stock into this. He did use his size well, and I will give him credit there. He is a giant 170er. Michael Morales is a massive welterweight fighter. But all in all, that is all I know. Like, he knows how to use his size. Okay, great. What does that do for us? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know where Michael Morales sits, honestly. If we're being honest, I don't. I think he's a good fighter. I don't know if he's a great fighter. Some of the things that he does kind of like makes me say, maybe we should pump the brakes on this hype a little bit. He's no Carlos Prates, who we just saw lose in just stylish fashion from Ian Machado Garry. So I don't want to put too much stock on this. But again, he uses size well. He uses size very well. Now, you know we like books around here. Guys, look. Art of War. This is a must read, obviously. You know, I don't want to put too much stock into it, but in the Art of War, you know, it says the clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. And that's basically what we saw Michael Morales do. He was like, hey, Gilbert Burns, you want to wrestle and control me and use your inside boxing? I'm not letting you do that. And he did that. Now, what we saw last night was just the embodiment of that line. The younger, stronger fighter, Michael Morales, didn't just win, he like dictated everything. It was just magnificent from what he did. From the moment the fight started, he controlled the range, he controlled the rhythm, he controlled the pacing of the entire fight. The moment he made real contact with Gilbert Burns first, the moment he made real contact, the fight irreversibly shifted. You remember Gilbert Burns just falling over, just cowering, like he was literally getting hit on the guard, and he just fell. There was no feeling, maybe a feeling out process, a little bit, but like no negotiate, only dominance. It was just dominance from start to finish. Gilbert Burns never got the chance to implement what he wanted to do because Michael Morales did such a good job of that. He was forced to just respond, to survive. And that's what it means to impose your will on someone in the most violent and undeniable, mean way. But we still didn't learn anything about him, which is what my pet peeve about this. We didn't learn anything about him. So, like, who's next? How do we learn something about him? Put him against Ian Garry? Like, we'll see what we saw with Carlos Prates. Like, Ian Garry's going to dominate this guy if they fight. Leon Edwards? I mean, that's a doable fight. Or do you put him up against, like, a, like, I don't want to say Sean Brady, but a wrestler like Sean Brady? You know, do you put him up against the Sean Brady to say, hey, let me see how good you're, like a Fluffy Hernandez. Jesus Christ, Fluffy might destroy Michael Morales. But we don't know. Carlos Prates would be a fun fight, but I don't know if that's the fight best to make for either of those guys. I don't know, guys. I really don't. Gilbert Burns, man, it's time. He's 38. 37, something like that, late 30s. His prime's over by far, and he's just taking damage at this point. 4-fight losing streak, and that's to Bilal, Jack Della, and two, I forget the other one. 4-fight losing streak, man. It is absolutely time to just hang him up. I hate to say it because, you know, I like Gilbert Burns, and at one point in time, nobody wanted to fight him. He had to beg for a fight, and he was like, I'll fight Francis Ngannou. I don't care. Like, it's just sad. Marion Santos, though, styled on Sodiq Yusuff. I mean, absolutely styled on him. I thought it was a really good performance. I won't say it's anything, you know, world-beating or anything like that from him. But what we saw from Marion Santos, you know, he was never in any actual trouble this fight. And Sodiq Yusuff is a good fighter. I won't say Sodiq Yusuff is a great fighter, no, but he, like, in terms of like UFC fights and stuff, he's a challenged veteran. He's fought some of the best. He's beat some really good fighters. Marion Santos is only 24 years old. Okay, he's only 24, and this actually is gonna hurt your feelings, yo old kooks, especially somebody like myself. He was born in 2000. I used to make jokes with my friends. Oh, you were born in 2000, bro. Like, he was like 4 years younger than me. I was born in 90. So he's like 4 years younger than me. Oh, born in 2000. Look at him, bro. Like, no, he was obviously born like 94, 95. But, like, that was the joke. Like, oh, yeah, it's a child. But now that's not children. Now the 2000 born fighters are fighting in the UFC. Help! I'm getting old! No, but for real, though, like, Marion Santos really did a good job taking on a tough opponent in Super Sodiq Yusuff. And Sodiq came off the first season of the Contender series, and he's a really good fighter. I don't know where he would go from here. You know, he was once ranked, and now he's not. Couple fights he's dropped, and it's kind of like, oh, well, we don't know how far you up. And like, this was a lightweight fight. I was watching this fight, and I'm like, man, how is Marion Santos a featherweight? Because remember, Sodiq Yusuff used to fight at featherweight, and I'm like, how is he a featherweight? Look how thick this guy is. And then I realized, like, oh wait, he's not a featherweight. This is a lightweight bout, and Sodiq Yusuff is moving up. Like, maybe that wasn't the best idea, Sodiq Yusuff. Some really cool counters from Marion Santos. A lot of the the front kicks, catching him with his toes and stuff, like really, really painful stuff in the gut. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. You know, a really good performance from Santos. The slaps on the back though, how he's slapping the lats and his head and stuff, that was weird and disrespectful, but like not in a bad way. Like, oh yeah, you're wrestling, I'm just gonna slap you. Maybe that hurts, maybe it doesn't, but I have a hard time like gauging anything from this fight. It was a one of those fights where it's like, okay, Marion Santos is good, but kind of like the main event, but like not quite, you know, not quite that extreme. Like Sodiq Yusuff is on his way down, and Santos is kind of on his way up, and now we're crossing, and however, you know, they do that, and Santos is that way now. Sodiq is back that way. Still, the co-main event was supposed to be who was it? Rodolfo Vieira versus Paul Craig. I think that was. Yeah, that was canceled like 2 fights before the fight. Rodolfo Vieira, because I'm about to slander Rodolfo Bellato here. A couple fights before, I was like, man, now we only got 2 fights left. I told my wife, and comes out, he failed because of his the sores that you get on your lip from promiscuous behavior. Bro, that's the first time I've ever heard of that. Oh my gosh. So Paul Craig's probably sweating bullets over there. Woo! Thank goodness, because I dodged a bullet there. Could have came away with something I can't wash off. Oh man, Nursultan Ruziboev survived Dustin Stoltzfus. That fight in itself, it was a fun fight, and I had Dustin Stoltzfus winning this fight after scoring it. Like, after I watched the fight, I'm saying. I had Ruziboev knocking him out. But I had Dustin Stoltzfus really winning this fight. He took rounds 1 and 3. I thought round 2 was clearly Nursultan Ruziboev, but I don't think it was a robbery. I won't say it was a robbery. I will say, however, Ruziboev has a lot of things to work on. He's got a lot of promise. He's a really good fighter. But like the way that Dustin Stoltzfus was able to get control of him, and you know, if it wasn't for him jumping the guillotine, like he might have won that fight. You know, it's weird, man, because Stoltzfus, you know, he had that 3-fight losing streak when he slammed Joe Pyfer on his arm. Y'all remember that, right? And he lost 3 fights in a row, but they still gave him a chance. He lost to Rodolfo Vieira, speaking of, Kyle Dawkins and Jeremy Mearshart, and you're like, okay, well, let's give this guy Dwight Grant. He wins, loses to Abus, beats Puna Soriano, loses to Bruno Ferreira, beats Marc-Andre Barrett. So he's kind of on a win-loss right now. He's a fun fight. He's a catch guy. Really good grappling. We saw he was tough, man. I just, it was one of those things like, okay, Stoltzfus. What I really think, though, Ruziboev needed to work on, like, he was landing some really clean shots on Dustin Stoltzfus. But it was only one shot at a time. It was never like bang, bang, bang. Like, that's how you hurt and put somebody away that won't go away. Like, Ruziboev had a really good cross, but he wouldn't follow it up with a lead hook or anything like that, or an uppercut or something. If he could piece together like a 1-2, then a lead hook, I think that could really, really change his game and put him above the top. Because, like, you look at his record, man, and like 36-9-2, he's been around. Nickname's Black, which is kind of a cool name. He got the loss to Joaquin Buckley, but he's beat like okay guys. I won't say like great, but Bruno Ferreira, Cedric Dumas is terrible, so first round knockout there. I don't remember that fight. He was supposed to fight Rinat Fakhramonov in that fight, second round knockout. But I'm like looking through his record, it's like a bunch of first round knockouts. But like, this guy's just, he proved he can go the distance, and that's what you like to see from him. But I want something more from the Uzbek fighter. I want him to prove like, hey, I'm the guy, somebody you don't want to mess with. And we unfortunately didn't get that from him. As a matter of fact, we got a kind of a, not really a tepid decision, but one of those decisions was like, oh, is it though? Did he win that? That kind of a thing. Now, I can't say his name. Melquizael, however you say his name, you know who I'm talking about, Costa, and Julian Ersoa had a slobberknocker of a fight. Melquizael, that's how you say it. I just had to pull it up on the I'm looking at it right here. Melquizael, Costa, and Julian Ersoa really went to war. They got an honor for that fight of the night, I believe. Yeah, they got fight of the night. This fight, I was real big on Melquizael Costa. I thought he's a really good fighter. Shoot box guy, featherweight fighter. He's beat Nursultan, Andre Fili, and Christian Rodriguez. He lost to Steve Garcia, who doesn't lose the Mean Machine. Beat Austin Linga, but loses like Thiago Moises, in his debut. Might have been a short notice fight, actually. Let me see. Yeah, that was a lightweight fight. He's back down at featherweight. He's only got the one loss to Mean Machine Steve Garcia, who's come into his own right. When's Steve Garcia fight again, man? That's been a minute. He's a good fun. Oh, he's fighting Calvin Kattar in July. That's a fun fight. But yeah, him and Julian Ersoa, they went to war, man. I felt like this fight was, I was high on Costa, but seeing like the fight IQ in round 3 and stuff, I was kind of like, not so much. He's just kind of surviving, covering up, and backing himself onto the fence consistently. And I get like, he's tired. Ersoa's really pushing the pace, trying to get him to the fence and all. And I get all of that, but at the same time, like, man, Ersoa really did come in strong in that third round. And if you're judging fights as a whole, like, Ersoa wins that. But this is the UFC. This isn't like one championship or anything. So we don't judge fights as a whole. We judge them as a half. Or it's a third and fifth, not half. Round 3 was sloppy. It was entertaining, but I wouldn't call it a great fight. All in all, the main card was okay. The loss of the Paul Craig fight really didn't hurt it at all. I got to go to bed at a decent time. So what else happened on this card, though? Let's go take a old gander on the web, yeah? Let's see here. Where am I? There we are. Yeah, we got Melquizael Costa. Gabe Green defeat Matthias Camilo. They had a bunch of Brazilians on the card for some reason. Jared Gordon, man, huge 1-2. Put Thiago Moises like out. And that's one of Islam Makhachev's better wins, especially like coming up. So good on Jared Gordon. He suffered the loss to Paddy Pimblett, and Gordon's a good fighter, man, and he deserves all good things that come to him. That knockout's definitely one of them. Yalder Devael defeated Connor Matthews. Luana Santos got a really, really weird Americana against Lisbosa. You know, Americana, WMMA, what do you expect? Denise Gomez had a really cool knockout over Elise Reed. Park Hyung-sung defeated Carlos Hernandez. I know a lot of people are big on Hernandez, but Park's not a bad fighter. Flyweight, so we might have to pay a little bit more attention to him. And then, obviously, Tisha Pennington defeats Luana in a decent fight. So, overall, the night of the fights was meh, you know. Wasn't great, but good enough. Now we got to go back to the Apex next week. And I got to talk about it like I do every week. So, tune in next week. Come on, guys. Come hang out. Fight Finders. I have to do a change to it. That's right here. Episode 7 will now be about Tom Scott, an Olympic karate fighter from the 2020 Olympics, as he goes to win the U.S. Nationals. So that'll be coming out soon. We pushed the New Orleans episode back a little bit more working on that. So, all right, guys, I'm out. Later.